Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
And we're Autosave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Attack on Titan Season 4, Episode 15. Last episode, Eren destroyed Mikasa with words and then went on to destroy Armin with fists.
And words.
Yeah.
The words at Mikasa and him.
Yeah.
Destroyed him.
It's interesting though, because obviously like Mikasa's the talent in terms of physical attribute and fighting, and Eren didn't need to do anything.
Like a
She
puppet
wouldn't harm
master.
him. Yep. We also ended off with Levi and Zeke having a date. It was very cute. And Levi went off last episode, which was pretty refreshing to see. I kind of missed it from the past seasons. And now I'm thinking that maybe we're going to get an episode dedicated to the history of baseball in Marley.
You know, that's probably what we're going to get. I think you're so right with that. I mean, that's kind of how we ended off. I do want to say that there was really nice parallels in this episode. I don't even think we brought it up. We talked about so much.
Yeah.
And like broke down a lot of things that were savage last episode.
Yeah.
And really tried to talk about what Eren's motivations or reasons for saying the savage things were. And I didn't even really notice the parallel between having both of the Ackermans being focused on with one of the brothers.
Oh, yeah.
And one being with royal blood and one having the founding titan. And just interesting parallel there. Like, what if Zeke with the royal blood had the founding titan? Levi wouldn't have been able to do probably what he did.
Yeah. Pretty decent statement, I'd say. I believe that. I wonder who Mr. K-Saver is.
Baseball guy.
Like, obviously, I assume we're gonna find out right now, but I'm kind of dumbfounded. Like, I don't know. Do you think that Zeke was, like, taught something or given information after he turned Grisha in? Or do you, like, I feel like there's a missing piece there, potentially.
I believe in the flashback, I think that he might have been dressed already as a candidate.
Yeah.
So this could be someone that he met in Marley, or someone he met like in Marley, yes, but one of the Marleyans, you know, maybe once he was a candidate and he was able to kind of go out of the little confines that the Eldians are kept in. Maybe it's someone he met through that.
I don't know. I'm excited to see, though. I really like Zeke as a character, and I love his voice actor.
His voice actor is really good.
Yeah. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I don't know what to expect from this episode. Didn't we say that it was possible that Peak's little appearance is gonna come to fruition?
They could
here?
go many different routes this
I know.
episode, because at the same time, I'm like, okay, why does Zeke think that Eren knows where he could have been when he left the forest, but Eren's just sitting looking longingly out of a window? You know, I have so many questions.
Zeke was like, oh, Eren knows where we're meeting. He's gonna be there, right? But then we also know that Marley is here.
Yeah.
So is this fated meeting even fated?
I'm definitely on the boat that, like, Zeke and Eren have just, like, outsmarted everybody, and they are playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers, but we haven't seen it yet, and I'm ready. You?
Yes.
Sweet. I'm nervous and excited. I feel so giddy.
Similarities.
Sweat droplets. Oh.
If you don't like it, you've got to change it.
You're going to save everyone. So do you think turning Grisha in was like a long con?
Sacrifice my parents so that I seem like a total loyal Marleyan. Become the warrior candidate. All to just, yeah. I mean, as a kid, that would be pretty savage.
Well, realistically, let's think about it. The best thing that Zeke ever did was turn Grisha in, because that was the reason that Grisha got the Attack Titan, which is the reason that Eren was born. And Eren got the Founding Titan, and now two brothers. Soul salvation.
He's the one that has to save everyone.
Shoes have souls.
Mr. Cassava, is he the Beast Titan?
Yeah.
Yeah! Oh, that's so cool.
Same glasses
so
and
cool.
everything.
Perfect game. So he started training before he turned his parents in.
Wow.
Oh no.
Social dance club. Ending credits.
何十万ものマーレ人がとか逃れた難民は未知や帝国はその態度に巨人を仕掛けによってマーレ人が分かった
God, he's just being taught, like, he's babysat by his grandparents and taught something, and then...
Holy shit, this is a lot on a kid to like play like a double agent kind of thing. Yeah!
It's a better book than what your grandfather was trying to show you.
His aunt.
Mm-hmm.
What is this song?
Wanting the normal life of a kid.
Man. Zeke's been alone for so long.
We sure as hell won't leave a Titan in the hands of someone like you.
He planned that. That was so smooth.
Did he pick him? Oh, replacement of a father figure.
Isn't too helpful in war. Wow. Play catch around here.
Titan research. Is that how he knows so much more about Titans than anyone else?
Yeah. Be a good pitcher. Zeke made the Beast Titan into what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The Orangutan.
It wasn't much for war. If Zeke steps up.
Have to become one.
So openly saying that.
This is the best man ever.
He became to learn the secrets of Titans. That's why
His
he
own
did
curiosity.
This. Like,
he's an adventurer.
Oh, Hanji would like him.
Touch something.
Touch something, yeah. Devil of all Earth, God.
So true. Two decent people. Oh, they already had a lead?
Is he not gonna warn them?
Looks like Eren. Same fancy haircut and everything.
もう危ないことはしないで。見つかったらみんな楽園送りなんだよ。みんな巨人に。
今まで父さんから何を学んだんだ。誰も狭い壁の中で惨め
But you'll be alive!
そうよ。これはあなたやエルディア人みんな。僕はフェイおばさんみたいになっても。
Oh.
ジーク！世界が狂っているからだ。もう誰もフェイのような目に合わせないためにエルディアをマーレから取り返し、当たり前の権利を勝ち取るんだ。
This is like Zuko alone. It's like Zeke alone.
Does he really rat them out? Oh, he tells someone. He tells someone. He tells a trusted adult. Great.
He's gonna
That was
try to
my
help
hunch
him.
from the beginning.
キャッチボールしてくれてありがとう。巨人になっても思い出すからね。
He does something to save Zeke's life. He turns Zeke's parents in to save Zeke's life.
行くね。
告発なさい。これしかない。自らマーレ当局に告発する。君とソンは助かるはずだ。
そんなできないよ。
ジーク！君は両親から火に見放し、ちっとも君のことを気にかけなかった。愛さなかった。君は悪くない。君は賢くて。
They never loved you.
もう少し手加減してくれよ、ジーク。
That had a selfish kind of twist to it.
Oh, look at how handsome he is.
草葉さん。継承の任期を終える頃だ。年寄りにもな
Look at Annie.
研究に最後に集大成を発表できそうだ。ユミルのためにもたらした影響についてを操作するとかいうあれどころじゃない。
Anatomy of their bodies.
世界の人口が激減するほどの
What?
が猛威を振るった時代があった。帝国からその病は消滅した。
Oh ho ho.
体の設計図を書き換えたんだよ。
And when Grisha went there, the king wasn't doing that anymore.
どうだ、怖いだろう。
始祖の巨人ならユミルの民がのかな。もしこれ以上ユミルの民が生まれてこの世から巨人は消滅している。苦しめられたりせずに済む。苦しまなくてよかったんだ。
If we hadn't been born, we wouldn't have to suffer.
草葉さん。
愚かだった私は腕章を履くことを隠したまま妻と暮らし、妻はマーレ人だ。私がエルディア人だと知った妻は自分と息子の喉を裂いて死んだ。理由は贅沢な自殺の方法に飛びついたに。
Grandiose way to commit suicide.
この13年間
The ball.
巨人の研究にボールをして楽しかった。で自分の罪から逃れようとした。
The music.
生まれてこなければ。
獣の巨人は俺が継承する。マーレのためじゃない。始祖奪還計画を成功
Save the world from Titan power.
世界の人々を巨人の恐怖から。
It's like put us out of our misery.
不戦のちぎりを打ち破る方法だ。
Break the vow renouncing war.
それは君だからこそ。
Royal blood.
巨人であれば
Comes in contact.
接触することにより
They've been kept apart.
引き出すことができるはず。決定権は始祖の保有者に委ねられる。だが君の役割
Keys
The
the
key to
lock.
Oh my god! Key.
The founding time. Someone you trust.
してくれる。
Euthanization plan.
君ならきっと。私はいつでも見守る。
To inherit his memories too.
つけてみせるよ父さん。
Oh, he calls him father. It really was a replacement father.
エンは始祖の巨人の保有者です。また志願しなくの家の
Jaeger.
何か重大
Is this
な
when he realizes and learns?
そのエレンから
行方不明で医者をやってたと聞きました。
ってことだ。
That
That
father.
father.
来ていた。俺たちは被害者だ。父親に洗脳されている。必ず
He.
食い出してやるからな。
Oh, we're getting proof that he really does feel that way for Eren.
父親と。
Oh
まずはエレン。俺の話に応じてここまで来てくれ。イエレナから聞いた通り賛同してくれるのか。 きっかけに親父の記憶が開いた。顔を皆殺しにした時の記憶だ。まだ小さな子供たちを虫みたいに潰して回った感触も残っている。その子たちが生きている人は王家の手に渡り、不戦のちぎりに縛り心中を迫られただろう。たちの死が俺たちを生かした。父親は正しかった。そう思ったのか。親父は間違っている。そしてその親父に育てられた俺、この町の住民もこれから俺たちの計画に巻き込まれて死ぬことに生まれないことは。
There's no greater salvation than never being born in this world.
俺の手で巨人が支配したその日を迎えるまで進み続け
I keep moving forward.
そうだろう兄さん。ああ、その通りだ。今俺たちが接触する
Interesting.
代わりにこれをエレン、必ずみんなを救ってあげよう。
We're gonna save everyone.
エルディアの安楽死。
Did he just say that out loud in front of Levi?
お前はこれからくせえ巨人の口の中で咀嚼される音を聞きながら死ぬわけだが、随分と安らかな死に方だろう。うちの命に比べてみれば。
奪ってない、救ってやったんだ。そいつらからクソ坊さん見ててくれよ。
Okay. Attack on Titan is so good.
It's so
It's
good.
gotten so good, dude. Oh my god.
Everything is so perfectly placed. Like, everything, like, from...
When they give us the information.
Yeah, and, getting, obviously, Mr. Cassava at the very end of last episode. And then as soon as this episode started, and I heard someone being talked to, referred to, you know, as a Beast Titan, looking upon the kids, knowing Zeke was out there, I was like, how perfect would that be in placement of a character of we just got them. Of course that's going to be them, even though we're just seeing their back.
Yeah.
And so good.
If you don't like it, you've got to change it. And
He
hey,
is. He's doing that.
man,
Just
it's a lot of it's not a lot of information to digest. It's a lot of perspective to digest for me right now.
No, yeah, totally. Because if you think about it, we've talked about it a lot. That yes, everyone might have a similar broad end goal, but not everyone has the same idea of how to go about it.
Yeah. Or like,
Or
yeah,
the intricacies
broad
of
end
it.
goals in
Broad
like
end goal as in protect Eldia.
what's
and-
right,
Yeah.
like what the answer is, right?
Mhm.
To stop the pain.
How do you best save Eldia? How do you best protect your people? How
Yeah.
do you best save the rest of the world? What
So
are you willing to
interesting.
sacrifice?
There's so many layers to it, like that if I'm honest, I'm just trying to really understand fully and appreciate before I like try to really put it into words. So while I'm trying to digest it, I just want to say I hope that Grisha and his wife did actually have a dance that was performed and practiced just in case anybody accused them of being restorationists.
Oh yeah, like look at what we do at dance club.
Yeah, this is our social dance club. Like, these are our moves. Like, this is our tradition, you know. I would love to see just an episode of them going off dancing, seeing what they have, you know.
I want to go back to every time the Zeke has ever referenced father.
Yeah.
Because we were always thinking every single time, and it might not have fit in the context now. If we rewatched it, we might see that he, at that moment, was not referring to Grisha.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because he's definitely said father a handful of times. Whenever Aaron was involved, of course, the context would probably be that it was Grisha. But
Yeah.
I feel like there were other times that he referred to father. And I would just love to, maybe on a rewatch of the show, I will notice that and I will realize that, and that'll just totally open way more, like, as if I'm writing a paper about it and really, like, analyzing it, breaking it up. Like, when he says that, this is who he's referring to. Gosh.
It's interesting, like, this late in the series, like, to have a character who is being given so much exposition and time to shine, like, this late. And it's completely intentional, and I'm trying to make sure I mean it before I say it, in the sense that, like, Zeke's character is up there with some of the best in the show.
It felt worth the wait.
Yeah.
Like,
but it didn't feel like, oh, here's a bunch of exposition to make you feel this way about a character. It was like, we had the information, and this was just filling in the blanks.
This was to kind of, we've been asking ourselves, when did Zeke and Eren actually have a conversation? Why would Eren agree to Zeke's plan? What even is Zeke's plan for Eldia? Like, we had so many questions, and that whole backstory basically filled in, I would say, most of the blanks.
Yeah. I'd say so as well. I'm still trying to, like, figure out, do you think, like, do we 100% trust and believe Eren in thinking that this is
Very
like,
good question. That is a very, very, very good question.
because, like, okay, here's a
He's
question.
the lock.
Let's unpack it in a different way. Do you agree with Zeke's like
The euthanization plan?
like, do you think, or can you understand where he's coming from, and or could you argue better solutions?
So, I can see where he's coming from the better to not have even been born kind of perspective.
Yeah.
I would say some people could at some point in their life have maybe felt major depression, or a lack of wanting to continue on, a lack of, like, why was I even born? I had to suffer so much. It's not even worth it. I don't want other people to suffer the way that I did. It's not super hard to digest that information or that feeling from him. And it reminds me also of, like, Reiner. And I feel like Reiner would probably be on board with this euthanization plan if Zeke tried to recruit him.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. I don't think we've seen any evidence that Reiner knows about this plan. So
it's a tough situation, right? Because it's not just like these people are hurting and their answer to that is to never be born. And, like, I think that in one way I can see it in, like, a depression sense, or, like, in that level, and how Reiner was had a gun in his mouth at one point, you know? But at the end of the day, even though this sounds stupid and they're fictional characters in a story, I will never know what it is like to be an Eldian living in Marley.
No.
I will never know what it is like to face the, like, accusations, the disgust thrown at you, and the torturous, like, living conditions in like a, you know, containment sense. And it's hard because, like, on one hand you're like, okay, well, the people who are fucking doing all the wrongs to the people who have done nothing wrong in their life are the evil ones, right? They're the ones who need to change. But you can't ignore the fact that there is this supernatural element to this race of people, and because of that, they will always be a frightened, like, populace.
So Eren knows this plan.
Yes.
I don't think, you know how I said that I feel like Eren isn't really telling, like, the Jaegerists anything, and that they broke him out of their own volition?
Yes.
I don't think the Jaegerists know this.
Oh, well, yeah,
all.
of course,
Like,
yeah.
I think this even fits even more, that Eren's just kind of being like, using them as, oh, you want to help me? Cool.
I think the
Like,
Jaegerists
you know, but I'm not
should
gonna-
rename themselves the Grishaists, even though, or the G-Jaegerists,
I mean, or just
because
the
I think
new
that they're...
Eldians. Because they want this new future for Eldia.
But it's very similar to what Grisha, I think, was going for as well.
What does Eren say? He gets to the point in this conversation with Zeke where Zeke's like, oh, so you agree with Father? And he's like, no, I think Father was wrong, and I think that I was wrong too, as the son that he raised. And I think, honestly, it's just so interesting how kind of... so I wrote this down on that thought of how I think maybe 5-6 episodes ago, we were like, okay, how did Eren do this massive jump
Yes.
in terms of changing? And I think that this episode definitely helped the stepping stones in place a little bit for Eren and how he got to the way he is. It helped a lot in terms of Zeke. But it brought me back, their conversation at the wall, Zeke and Eren, reminded me back to right before...
Their conversation in Marley?
No. Right before Eren comes to
Oh,
Marley.
gotcha,
And
okay,
his conversation with Armin and Mikasa, where
Okay.
Armin's like, maybe if we talk to everyone in the world, and Eren was like, very flat out and realistic, no, they're always going to be scared of us. We're
Yeah.
always going to be a threat. There's always going to be war because of this power we have and how scared of it everyone's going to be forever. And so then, it doesn't seem like a giant jump for him to agree with this plan that would basically get rid of that kind of the Titan in general, which is what everyone's scared of. Get rid of the Titan. That's what everyone's scared of. That's what will cause war. That's what will cause suffering. It doesn't seem as big of a jump anymore for Eren to have changed in this way.
Like, obviously, this just goes to show how the writing is just great, but it's so convenient. It's the perfect it's the perfect scripted moment, like as you'd say, because it's like, okay, how could you couldn't make this situation more perfect. You have somebody with Grisha has made the situation with apparently not even intending to, made it so that there's a royal blood, Eldian with the powers of the Titans, as well as somebody who isn't of royal blood who has the Founding Titans power and has bridged the gap. And so it's a little bit scripted in a sense. I wanted to go back a little bit before when we were talking about just the plan of the plan of Zeke's here.
Euthanization plan?
Yeah, the euthanization plan. I had a few thoughts and questions about it.
Okay.
So my first line of thinking was oh, if you could change memories, anatomy, you could try to do what the king did again. Everybody memories are all gone. That the rest of the world remembers. You can't. That's not a great idea, right? Then I had a question. Okay, if you stop everybody from having kids, make them enable, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 questions. 1, that definitely means you solve the problem of Titan powers passing down, because if I remember correctly, it's passed down into a newborn. It's not just plopped into an already born Eldian, right?
It's born with someone. I
So
believe.
that leads me to: is there a possibility that we come to the conclusion of we are walking towards the inevitable failure of this plan, and all the Titan powers are going to inevitably reside in Historia's child because she is currently pregnant? And if they make it so Eldians are no longer to have babies going forward, and the last baby born Eldian is within Historia, and we get rid of those powers, Eren dies, they're not going to everybody else, and then this baby is born.
The timing could be totally screwed up, honestly.
It's interesting though.
If Eren and Zeke do not survive until they can do this,
Yeah.
then the plan is thwarted. It's over. And what we have at the very end of this episode is Zeke getting blown up. Obviously, there's question marks there of why you would do that, and we can get into it more. But you're right to say that there are major flaws of how to actually get this to work out when Zeke and Eren haven't touched yet, and they haven't made this decree and renounced the war and euthanized the Eldians. I'm sure there's other pregnant Eldians, not just Historia,
Yeah.
There are other people who are already pregnant.
But they don't have the royal blood aspect, and there could be a lot within that.
But if you do the euthanization and someone's already pregnant, what happens?
Well,
if they
no,
can
that's
no
my
longer
point.
carry a child.
That's
And you're saying that the royal blood of Historia might possibly protect that child from whatever would happen if the anatomy changes,
or would allow them to be a thing, I don't know, a gray area in regards to the rules that have been made. Maybe it's part of their plan in general. I still think that Historia has to tie into this somehow, and we haven't seen really things with her.
We've talked about that. I mean, how is it that she also kind of completely does this route that everyone's confused about? You know, she's obviously thinking about something or doing things on purpose. It wasn't true love and wanting to go have a baby for romantic reasons that caused her to, at that time, go find this man that she knew from her childhood and then have a baby. Like,
honestly, okay, which route do you like better? Zeke's euthanization plan or Ben's global contractual agreement that everybody leaves, everybody works together to advance technology until they can make space travel exist, and then all the Eldians can just go to a different planet?
Honestly, they should probably do that, but I do have to say that for Historia to immediately go get pregnant, doesn't it make you think that maybe she knew about this euthanization plan even more?
It is,
and she
so
wanted to have another kid of royal blood for some reason.
That's what I was kind of alluding to. Because it seems like that. It seems like a conversation could have happened between Eren and Historia after Eren talked to Yelena, but before Eren talked to Zeke. And if that's the case, Eren could have gone into the Zeke conversation that they had in Marley, knowing a little bit about what was going to go down, and agree with it, with the hidden stipulation that Zeke doesn't know, that he already has another bloodline baby in the works.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. There was a lot.
There is a lot. What else have I written? So back to the stepstone thing that I was saying.
Yeah.
I just wanted to compliment the writer, obviously, that I feel like the stepstones that have been created in terms of like the path that people have, the thinking has gone in terms of specifically Eren and Zeke, because those are the major thinkers I guess we're getting, and like that we are seeing giant jumps. And we're like, okay, how did they get there? Why would Zeke choose to turn in his parents? You know, giant jumps. Why did Eren choose to go to Marley and side with Zeke? And I feel like how you get there successfully is that the author had to have written all of the transitions of thinking first and then taken some out.
Mm-hmm. It's like...
And then placed them in a flashback that you're going to get later on. It's so purposeful.
It's like you wrote a page, or typed a page, then you highlighted certain bits, cut it, and then put it down at the bottom of the page. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just... It's great. It's really refreshing in piece of media, you know?
Yes.
And that's why I think that I'm enjoying this so much. I couldn't stop smiling when I saw Eren and Zeke next to each other standing.
And then the baseball was handed over.
I'm just so freaking happy to be here. There were so many little moments that I sometimes wish that like while the show was going, we could see the timestamps of the episodes so I could write those down to get specific lines, because it's a lot harder to find if you're just skipping through, and you get the annoying mouse sound. But because we got like a line about talking about how Ymir like touched something. And, like
Saver says that.
Yeah.
And we really liked, we both said something. When he said something, we were like, interesting. He's referring to it as the devil of all earth.
We have to get there, right? Like
into this is actually what happened all those years ago.
Yeah,
I could see them maybe giving us that. Maybe
if memories are connected, kind of thing. Like, would there be any revelation in learning a potential true intent of what the power of the Titans were for? You know?
Would you want to learn that before you go about this plan to basically cease Titan power's existence?
I don't know.
Would we learn that information? Would Zeke and Eren... When Zeke and Eren touch, they have this whole plan. They haven't touched yet. They're like, we're not gonna do that.
They're
yet.
abstinent.
Yeah.
They're waiting for marriage.
They're waiting for marriage. And...
Ew. Incest marriage. Sorry. Okay.
Didn't have to say that.
Okay. Come on.
Yeah. So if they're just not touching yet, and now I need to get back on my train of thought.
Yeah, if they're not if
yeah.
they're not touching yet,
They're
they're
not
waiting
touching
to
yet.
touch.
Then they don't yet have the ability maybe to see what that
Yeah.
actual thing was. And maybe once they have this whole plan that once this magical handhold happens, that they will create this renouncing war, euthanization plan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's them putting a lot of, like, they're really, like, putting all their eggs in one basket of what's going to happen during this handhold when they
No
haven't
pun
done it
intended.
yet, you know? And they don't really know exactly what's going to happen, what to expect, what they're going to see.
Yeah.
They could see something that's going to just... They could see that. They could see the truth of all of this and how this came to be. Devil of all Earth, God, what did the original Ymir want or do? What was that something that she touched? And if you're going with something that she touched as a line in this episode, and then we're getting the idea that Zeke and Eren are about to touch something.
Yeah.
They're maybe about to tap into this memory or this origin story. And what are they going to want to do plan-wise with whatever information they learn from that?
Can you think of any third-party plan here that Eren could be, like, working on?
Trying to do?
Like, and not just, like, broad ideas, like, specific, like, we have the scouts, we have the Jaegerists, we have Zeke's plan, we know Marley's intentions. Is there any, we have so many different ideas of how to resolve everything. Is there something that Eren could be thinking of that we don't know?
At the moment, I feel like it depends on if his mood and attitude is performative at all. Because I feel like the mood that he is portraying at the moment totally goes along with this whole, like, it's very cynical, very pessimistic. The only way we can protect everyone is by making sure no one can ever have babies. Like, his kind of way he's portraying himself at the moment, I feel like totally locks on to a person that would probably agree with this plan. So it depends on if he is, in fact, being performative, which we talked about last episode. Was he performative at all when he was speaking to Mikasa and Armin?
And, like, again, if you didn't listen to last episode's discussion and you're listening to this one, like, I completely am ready for and understand if there isn't, like, a secret underlying thing there. It's just, it's happened so much that I feel like we need to consider it. And the only reason that I want to bring it up in this episode is because of how emotional Zeke is about this plan. And when somebody's
Zeke is
emotional about a plan, they're
wholeheartedly
easily
into it.
manipulated.
Easily manipulated. Eren has cast off emotions.
Yeah.
At least in a performative way. And Zeke has not. Zeke, Zeke's face, I was about to say, you should have seen. Of course you've seen.
Yeah.
Zeke's face when Eren was like, and I was wrong too. And he was like, oh my gosh, brother, you know, and it was a very great moment. But Zeke's emotions are fully into this plan, like his happiness, his everything, all of his suffering is like boiled down into this plan. And Eren could totally just be fucking with him, you know?
Could be.
Like, in a way. Because Eren is not showing us that he's emotionally invested in this plan, because we're not really seeing any emotions from him. The last time we really did see an emotion from him was when Armin said that he was also following someone, also being a to a bastard or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that was the word.
I think so.
And he turned to Armin and he looked like an actual emotion on his face instead of just dead eyes.
Yeah.
So maybe that's triggering to him for someone to say to him,
Are
you the livestock slave to Zeke's plan?
Yeah.
And to show that little break happening when kind of that's being brought up of Eren's part in this plan and why is he going along with it, could feed into the theory that Eren's doing this plan in order to get somewhere. And maybe it's like on a train. Maybe it's on a train and he is going to stop at a train stop before Zeke's plan is reached.
Yes, that is the possibility at hand. But, like, I want to stop thinking that way if I cannot think of a
another
plausible
idea
reason
of what he would want to be doing.
Exactly. And
which I can't really, I don't think.
I mean, in one hand, the possibilities are endless. It's just if it's strong enough of a possibility for you to be this confident about it. Because I don't think I ever understood or comprehended the full extent of what you can do with the powers of the Founding Titan
Changing
mixed
the
with
anatomy.
royal blood. That the whole idea of being able to stop an a pandemic from happening and vanquish a disease by changing human anatomy is something I like. That it's so nuanced and specific and detailed of a change that you have like so many options are opened up now, right? So many possibilities.
So I have a thing to bring up. Now
Can
that
you change
it-
temperament in people?
Right,
I don't
right.
know.
Was there already a change to anatomy for Titans to not be able to reproduce? Was that already a plan in order to keep the amount of Titans down? From maybe that was the king's original plan, you know? Maybe if I make sure Titans can't have kids, then they won't multiply. But what happened? Marley figured out how to make Eldians into Titans.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So maybe that was already a step on this plan of euthanization, and it just didn't work out. Like, if we think about Ymir, and then that didn't it say like to her kids, or she
9
created
Titans,
these
yeah.
other 9 Titans? Was Ymir? We talked about it. Was it like a birthing situation? Was it just when she died, it went into 9 different Eldian babies? We don't actually know, but I think it is interesting to bring up that with this anatomy part of the conversation.
We don't know if things were changed already.
We don't know
Yeah.
if things were changed already. Obviously, we got a little bit about, they were possibly changed in order to fight certain epidemics.
We don't know if was the whole year limiter a stipulation that was added. Was that an addendum?
You can only live 13 years in this Titan
Yeah.
form. Was that an added stipulation somehow with the controlling of the anatomy? Yeah, totally could have been.
It's very interesting, and if the possibility of ceasing reproduction exists, then it's just there's so much that you can think of. If you can change the temperament of people, then that goes down the same route of saying, then what's the point in living? They shouldn't be born at all. This is still the best way to do it. Zeke's plan.
Yeah.
I can think of things that could go wrong with Zeke's plan, but it's very easy to think of things that can go wrong with any plan. I am having a lot of trouble in the moment right now thinking of anything that it seems better than Zeke's plan at the moment. That isn't just wipe everybody else out. You know?
Right, because it is kind of doom and gloom of what Eren said years before he went to Marley, is that they are always going to fear us, and they're always going to want to fight us, or they're going to want to be our fake friends in order to protect themselves.
What do you do after you do this, right? What do you do after Zeke and Eren hold hands, and which again, I think, I completely think that the visual we're gonna get is a blood pact, both slitting blood in the hand and shaking hands.
I could totally see that. You're right.
What is the plan after you do that, right? You change the anatomy of every Eldian, and then what? You just tell everybody, and they're like, "Oh, sick, sweet, good plan." What comes next after that's done? How do you ensure that the changes you made stay? How do you have to bury yourself in cement or in a wall to make sure nobody can get to you or get to the Founding Titan power again? Or do you just try to kill yourself?
They'd have a leg up in terms of it possibly being a positive outcome.
Yeah.
In terms of transparency of information. I think the first king's, one of his major failures was wiping all of the memories in order to have people realizing that they didn't know the truth to something, which then makes them want to dig deeper, fight against something. Why are you keeping something from me? Make you feel more like livestock. And it had a lot of repercussions to it. So some people could say that maybe being transparent would have a more positive effect. I'm not saying it would have enough of a positive effect.
Yeah. It's really difficult because it's a really delicate situation too, because unlike we see in Marley, within the island which was called Paradise this episode. I didn't forget that. I saw that, and it might have been a mistranslation, but I saw Paradise. The people living on Paradise, when we first started the series, of course that there are scouts and Titan attacks and people die, But we've seen time and time again people being like, no, I don't want to fight. I want to go home and enjoy my life with my family. Like, people who aren't even, like, of course, there's severe poverty within the walls and everything, too. And, like, the class system isn't great. But there are, like, lives that are being lived to, like, a happiness. And it definitely argues and fights and toys with the idea of, okay, so you're potentially depriving people of this in the future, but I don't know, it's delicate.
The lives on Paradise, whatever you want to call it, the lives of those people are definitely, while their memories were wiped, very peaceful and positive and good. There were no enemies other than Titans, which they had the walls. So the Titans, couldn't get to them. And the only expeditions that the scouts went on was just to go outside of the walls, which a lot of people deemed not even necessary. And, I am not surprised that Eren was raised in a different way to how Zeke was raised. Yes, at the end of the day, Eren had a similar thing happen to him to what Zeke did, and they can, feel some camaraderie with that. But for most of Eren's life, he was raised with a loving father who was a doctor that saved people in the area and in the rest of the island. And he had a great mom, and he had Mikasa there, and everything was really positive and nice. And, if you start to think of, well, why wasn't Grisha training him from the beginning? Well, imagine what it was like for Grisha going from a place where he constantly feared, constantly felt like he or his family could be killed at any moment, and he was facing all of these faces and lives that he was trying to protect every day. He was seeing them. And now he's on the island, and no one knows about it. Everyone's peaceful. Everyone's happy. He's not having to face the severity and the realness of the situation anymore. Of course, he could go 12 years without truly making, any type of attempt to indoctrinate Eren.
Well, last time he tried to indoctrinate his kid, he almost got killed, And
maybe he tried to do something different with Eren, but then it was too late. Like, it was so sudden, and Eren was so confused because he'd never seen his father act that way. And it's because, and maybe Grisha was trying to, maybe if I raise this one right, and I give him time and love, and he respects me, then I'll have a different outcome, and maybe I can use him, for lack of a better term, to be the one that saves the world. And then it seemed like he was so suddenly, I need to do this right now, this is urgent.
Yeah. So I want to actually talk about stuff that happened in the episode too, but before then.
What? You want to talk about stuff that happened in the episode?
Is there, like, the acknowledgement of how, like, scripted this all is, right? And how perfect this all is. Is there any timey-wimey Founding Titan memory-linked shit that could have put Zeke telling on his parents into motion so that Grisha would get the attack Titan and be told about Mikasa and Armin, so that Eren would be born, so that all of these events would transpire? Like I'm having trouble thinking of something that would, like...
So, for that thought, I think I'd want to talk about Mr. Casaver. Mr. Casaver was the one who actually had the Beast Titan.
One of the coolest characters in this entire show. To be complete, one of my favorite characters.
Yes, definitely. Really,
he's an adventurer.
Him.
He just wants to know information.
I like the way that he thought about things, even though he was just kind of trying to survive.
Also,
or
had one of the most...
his way to get rid of himself.
His life was, like, the most tragic thing in the world. Yeah. He married this girl, didn't let her know that he was an Eldian. She found out, slit her own throat, and their kids. Oh my god.
So when Mr. Casaver says to Zeke to do this, he says a few things that are just kind of uncalled for in the way of, he's kind of not being truthful, and it comes out to me like, okay, well, that's a reach, and is your intention kind of selfish here? And I think it is, because later on we hear him kind of relate to Zeke that he thinks of him like a replacement for his son. Zeke thinks of Mr. Casaver as a replacement of his father. And I'm like, so at first I was like, is this he's really breaking down too. He's
Okay.
very upset.
It's the
So,
visual. It's the visual of him grabbing his head.
Yes, the visual of him doing this, being like, they ... never loved you. And I'm like, okay,
It's
so
like he's being controlled.
He's being selfish. Is it just him being selfish of, I think of this boy like a replacement of my son, I want to keep him alive? Is it truly just that selfishness when he already has decided this is his path to dying?
Yeah.
Like, is he really going to be that selfish when he's already decided that this is his kind of, like, in a way, suicide and atonement? Is choosing to be this Beast Titan that dies in 13 years?
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm like, he really grabs his head and he's saying this, and I don't know if I can fully believe it's for selfish reasons. That maybe he is seeing that he needs to, maybe he's having such a difficulty saying it because he knows he needs to say it for some reason, and he knows it's harsh and mean and that someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
But he, for some reason, knows he needs to do this.
Like obviously, I believe, how do you pronounce his name? Tom. I'm just going to call him Tom. Yeah, it's Tom. This is his first name. Casaver. Tom.
I didn't even get what his first name was.
I'm just going to call him Tom. Obviously Tom is a very caring individual. He probably has like a nice like retirement account built up. He
seems like the type.
He's a very well thought out person, and he just wants to live his best life, right?
For the short time
that he can, learn as much as he can. I believe that he would come up with this idea because I believe that he would want Zeke to survive. I do. That being said, he is a part of this whole people with the power of the Titan lineage and like
he currently
center
holds one
the
of
Oranga
those.
Titan, and we had Mr. Kruger say something very out of pocket that he never should have been able to say in regards to Armin and Mikasa. And when Tom grabs his head and starts really like saying what he is, the look in his eyes, it's like he's being driven crazy, and he wouldn't. It's like he's like, okay, say this, like a mind control kind of sense.
Is he fighting back? It's like
it could be both.
Is he so scared in a selfish reason of losing Zeke?
No.
But it's like I'm just saying all the reasons you could read into this expression. But I like the idea in theory that maybe he's getting a message
from
from somewhere up in the sky of pathways.
Yeah, if you report them to Marley and prove your loyalty. I feel like I know that he phrases it like you and your grandparents might be spared, but they're like this. We know that the suggestion works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you were trying to implant something and you already knew that this is like the route to go and how things would turn out.
He's saying really like mean things. Like, yes, I think Grisha was not a good dad to Zeke, but I think that a lot of people could probably relate to very, very busy parents or parents that want you to kind of follow a certain like way with your life. But I don't know that if that ever necessarily goes along with they never loved you.
Well, okay. The reason why they never loved you got this idea in my head is, again, I love Tom with all of my heart. Like I think that him saying they ... never loved you could either be like a no dog never come home, like kind of vibe, like he's saying it because he needs to do it so that Zeke will like save himself.
It's the final blow to say to a child who already feels like they've been neglected and is probably already wondering if they're good enough for their parents and if their parents love them. Those are probably already thoughts in Zeke's head, and it's kind of manipulative.
Well, no, how would Tom know that? I know that him and Zeke always play ball. I know that he knows a lot of this, but how are you confident enough to say they never loved you?
Right, exactly. How are you confident enough? You don't live in that house. You don't see every single interaction that happens. It is impossible for you to truly take from what a kid is telling you, or anyone for that matter is telling you, because that's their bias. That's what they're seeing. It's their subjectiveness.
Yeah.
And how can you take from that that they never loved you.
So, like, it could totally be just like, I need to say what I need to say so that this kid will save himself. Or I am saying this because I am being told, or
This
like somebody's
kid-
talking
it's
through
almost
me
like he
to
might
get
have
this
been,
to happen.
Yeah, he might have been being told this kid is the next Beast Titan. And if he already had that premonition, that he could have already had that premonition, and that's why he chooses to focus on Zeke so much. He could have had that premonition when he first called Zeke over to play ball. And
Well,
maybe that's why he breaks down so much, is he realizes this is the person that has to be the Beast Titan.
Yeah.
They're gonna die. What can I say to them to
Oh,
save
that's
them?
a good point.
So it could have been something he doesn't necessarily have to have the memory there.
Yeah.
He could have already had an inkling.
It could be
about
like a little
beforehand.
nudge.
Yeah, like a little like, hey, I want to focus on that kid for some reason.
I mean, if like the whole like time loop thing, there could be the nudge thing. That's more realistic, and I like that a lot. I'm more on the crazy deep end of things, thinking this is like Eren puppeting the entire thing.
For that whole, you know how Eren brings up how is it really you and how you're feeling? If you already have other people's memories in
Yeah.
you. Is it really that Mr. Casaver feels like Zeke's a replacement for his son, or is it because Mr. Casaver knew that this kid needed to be the next Beast Titan?
I don't know. It feels so interesting though. But okay, going through the episode, things that I liked, Tom. Other things that I liked. I thought it was a really, really interesting to bring up the narrative that they already had an inkling of what was going on, a suspicion. They even knew the fact about the owl. And even though they knew that there was an owl, which inevitably led to the questioning on the wall to Grisha, which led to the revelation of who the owl was. Like, I really liked them inserting that here. It makes the tension and
The urgency. Of everything. We didn't even know prior to this that Zeke was already a warrior candidate. We didn't know that. And so yeah.
It was like, you're gonna become.
We thought he just randomly was at his grandparents' house and just decided to do this on a Tuesday.
Dude,
like, I'm just going to turn in my parents today. No, there was an urgency to it. He literally knew that they were about to find out that his family was in the Restorationists.
How did this episode do for you in sympathizing for Zeke? Like, understanding or seeing on screen Zeke having to like go back and forth between these two families and have to like play a character basically of a kid who knows the right truth in terms of what Marley thinks, and then having to switch between that in between like your grandparents and your parents. Like that is devastating, and that's torturous in of itself, like as a kid.
Right.
You're just repeating the cycle in a different way.
He came out of that believing that the history his father told him was correct, but not believing the way his father was going about it was correct, or that his father was correct in how his father treated him.
Zeke just wanted to live, dude.
So you asked the question of like, do I feel maybe more sympathetic to Zeke?
How did this episode do for you in terms of sympathy to him?
I feel like this was a validation episode more so than a get you to finally sympathize with him.
Yeah.
I feel like I already had inklings of these feelings when we first got the flashback of Zeke and kind of the idea through Grisha's memories.
Yeah.
I already felt bad for him. I already was like, this is a kid, and he's being told two different major things from people he trusts, his parents and his grandparents. And he's also being told by the world he lives in that his parents are doing something wrong and evil. Like, I could already totally get on board, even though it was like, he turning in your parents to die is like still super dramatic. But I could at least sympathize with how he got there and what happened and the childhood he had. And I think I even sympathized even more when we got a flashback to it in this episode of him saying to Eren, I'm going to rescue you.
Yes.
When he said that like also really hit home for me. Like, wow, this. And then what do? They really just, they opened it even more. They were like, let me show you this little corner of this picture where we're going to get Zeke say, Eren, I'm going to rescue you. And now let's actually open the book and you can see the full page.
We've never felt Zeke's
included.
emotions like this. You know?
You're
like,
right. So it felt like validation.
Validation. That's what I wrongly said sympathizing. But it is in a sense. Like, you're understanding his character more, what he's going through, and maybe it could affect what your desires for him are going forward. like when I think of, and then we heard the line, it is if you're never born, you never have to suffer. And I want to reiterate that I don't know what life is like for these fictional characters in reality. I didn't experience it. That being said, I could make the argument of, okay, if you're never born, you never suffer, but suffering's part of living for everybody. And it's what you make of it. And I know that's a stupid, broad thing to say because I don't know any other answer. I don't know a better answer, but I also don't want Zeke, in a weird way, I don't want Zeke to get hurt here, you know?
Right. I mean, you just brought up something really, really, I think, big is to a kid, this suffering and then that Zeke went through, he's attaching it to something. As Eren attached his suffering to Titans, Zeke is attaching his suffering to Titans, and that is the enemy. And, but the thing is, they're like, if I do this and free the world, I free all Eldians from suffering. That is not the case. Like we've said, there's always going to be conflict, there's always going to be suffering in the world, and there's always going to be war. You're just taking away the magical element.
Do you think that there's a belief that the remaining Eldians, after this is enacted, after the euthanization plan is enacted, that their lives would be easier because they are doing some sort of penance to the rest of the world by saying that we'll never have kids again?
So, honestly, maybe Marley would just kill all of them. Because one of the reasons they're keeping them alive to have kids is to have warrior candidates to hold the Titan power so they can use it in war. Marley's not going to be happy when they lose their, like, best fighter jets, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, they're not going to be happy when they lose their military power.
Even though that's the thing that they hate the most, right?
Yeah, but they are using it, and they're using it to kind of stand up to the rest of the world, like, haha, we are the best, and to gain things. And they're not going to be too happy when they lose that. And if the Eldians lose out on their ability to have kids, and Titan powers aren't a thing anymore, and they're viewed as trash and devils, why would the Marleyans keep them alive at that point? They literally have no reason to.
Yeah. Look at the line I pull up on the screen.
Essentially, you're the key to the lock.
It feels like Tom being the person to deal the information that if this power comes in contact with royal blood, that's Zeke, like, for Tom, and then phrase it like you're the key to the lock. I'm like, I can't tell if it's like, oh my god, that's such a great parallel, or it's a parallel for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh my god, like the fact that he's learning this information.
There are two keys. Isn't
Exactly.
Historia a key too? You have two people are keys to this one lock. Which key does Eren want?
The founding Titan needs to be somebody you trust. It's like setting up for like the inevitable, narratively and potentially in like the conspiracy way. It is setting up the perfect solution for Zeke, right? It's like it's setting up the holy grail of finding somebody that you trust and understands the plan. It's somebody who is not only similar to you, but is potentially been raised in the same torturous way that you were, that understands you like nobody else in the world
Right.
could.
Okay,
It's brilliant.
He definitely understands Eren better than anyone else. I mean, obviously Armin and Mikasa would want to argue that. Interesting. We get an episode right before this where Armin and Mikasa are basically told by Eren, you don't actually know me, and I hated you the whole time. And then this episode we're being told that Zeke is the one that truly understands and trusts Eren, and that they truly know each other. It's like we've cast off the people we thought knew Eren, and Eren has cast off those people visually and literally to us. And then we get an episode that shows that the brothers, as Yelena put it, the two brothers, you know, that are going to change the world.
One of the first things I wrote down this episode was Zeke alone, because, like, you just feel the isolation that his character has felt in terms of growing up, and the only person that he seemingly had some solace with, he had to inevitably eat, and is residing within himself, but it would perpetuate the feeling of need, I think, emotional need that Zeke like feels like he needs to find a whole, like find somebody who understands him. He doesn't want to be alone anymore,
mean,
and
like,
that person is Eren in a fucked up way.
You know the like excitement he gets here that we already talked about in the discussion with Eren's response? I doubt Zeke had such a visually emotional, excited reaction when Yelena was like, yeah, I'll go on board with your plan.
Yeah.
It's different. This is a person he wants to acknowledge him. This is a person that he wants to be on his team. This is a person that he wants to understand him. He's like, I want you to understand me in that, like, is he lonely? Is he searching for someone that he can fill a void with?
Yeah.
He lost both of his father figures, and he finds out through Reiner and Bertholdt that he has a brother.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that this is made his life, honestly. Finding someone to kind of like understand him and stand with him is probably everything that he ever wanted.
And somebody to like fulfill his dream with, you know? And like
He didn't want to be alone. Zeke didn't want to be alone.
Do you want to read through some of what Eren was saying to Zeke with me? Because I think it leads up to a really cool visual, but also I thought the dialogue was just really great. Do you want to read it?
Okay. So this is them talking at the wall. 4 years ago, some of Dad's memories opened up to me.
This is in Marley.
Mm-hmm. Memories of when he slaughtered the wall's royal family. He crushed their little kids and smeared them like bugs. I felt it too. If those kids lived, the royal family would retake the founding titan.
Both of them are covering their right eye. And Zeke, it's shown in a reflection of glasses. Eren has the bandage over him. I thought that was cool.
Interesting. Bound by the vow of renouncing war, humanity in the walls would be doomed. Those kids dying is what let us live. I see, so you believe that Father was right. He seems like, oh, like, this didn't go the way I wanted. No, he was wrong.
He seems disappointed more than like, shit, I need to get this plan to work.
Yeah, he wasn't like trying to argue back with him. No, I need you to be on my side. It's a disappointment. I agree with you. And I, the son that he raised, was wrong too.
It's like 100% this could just be Eren, but it's also like, all right, this is what I have to say. And Zeke's like, suddenly life has new meaning. It's like the best thing for Zeke to hear.
Is this the second time in Zeke's life that someone says something purposefully to him that he needs to hear or wants to hear in order to get Zeke to do something?
Regardless of
be a parallel.
What it is a true understanding that like in Zeke, like it's like exactly what his character would need. And I love that. I really like what they have done with Zeke's character, because it's not like just a sympathizing understanding, but it's like what they are going to choose to do with that. And it culminates in the end of the episode.
It's so hard to like think about Zeke and then realize that I'm completely forgetting the things he did as the Beast Titan on the island. Like, I feel like during this conversation, I've just been thinking about him.
He killed Erwin.
In his human form, how he looks and what's happening to him in his past. And I'm like, oh, yes, this poor guy, you know? And then I realized that I am completely forgetting the visuals of how he was in like Perfect Game or something, how he was smiling almost as he was chucking those, let's crush the rocks, and so there's so many tiny pieces and just, you know, so much damage. And there was like an excitement to doing this, like it really was a ball game.
Yeah.
And I think I forgot about that and those visuals in this episode.
Doesn't it's gonna make the rewatch so much more entertaining, like to know like when he first like talks about baseball. Remember when we like heard that, we were like, baseball exists somewhere in the world? So cool. So I don't think Levi's dead.
Do you think Zeke's dead? That was one of my questions. I wrote that, is Zeke even alive?
That's why he did it.
I wrote that like during our, because why else would you say, Mr. Casaver, I hope you're watching? That's kind of like I'm about to die in order to further a goal.
No, I think like I'm gonna do what it takes to get the goal done. And I think
it could also
yes,
it's a
true.
couple
You're
ways
right.
it
You're
could
right.
be seen.
But
it's a proclamation.
Yeah, I think that Zeke does this with the intention of surviving, because if he doesn't survive here, then the plan's gone to shit. right?
And I don't think Levi necessarily wants him to not survive here either.
Unless that it's already happened, and it happened like off screen, that like some like timeline shit where maybe Zeke and Eren did already hold hands and it happened already, and that like which I don't think is the case, but it's a possibility. God, it's so tragic.
Levi's
though.
not gonna be like unwounded from this.
Oh, no, he's gonna be hurt.
I know he's fast, but he was too close to this, and it happened too quickly. It honestly backfired on Levi a little bit to do this and like stick that thunder spear into Zeke, because why would you put a bomb basically on someone that you're gonna sit next to?
Because you think that this person values their life so much that they wouldn't.
You're really thinking that they value their life. I mean, do they? I mean, if you had the power to possibly regrow
or values the
limbs
plan
or heal, if I knew that this person, I don't truly understand how Titans work. I don't know if I would be like, because think about how Reiner put his consciousness in like a total different part of his body. Like Zeke could have totally moved into his head. You know, the spear is here in his side.
Yeah.
And if you know that this person can regrow and heal themselves, plus has royal blood, so probably does it even faster, you know, they might risk it.
You see a frame of them being blown in separate directions.
Yeah. And it seems like it's just the upper half of Zeke.
Which would make sense. That would track.
Then there's something falling in the sky, which I think is Levi because it's darker.
On
like
Funimation, you
cloak.
can't go frame by frame, unfortunately. Or if you can, I don't know how, but that kind of sucks.
This
was the most upsetting part of the episode.
I think you audibly made a sound when you saw the
when
horses on fire.
That's fucked up.
You were like, that is the most...
They spent the entire episode...
messed up thing that's happened.
They spent the entire episode trying to make me like Zeke and then ruined it in the final seconds. But I loved it. At the ending of the episode, there was just like a loud sound. Oh, there was like some gorgeous piano piece in that episode. The music was great. Like out of nowhere. The music was so good this episode. I had to say that. What do you think?
I don't know if I have anything other thoughts in my head.
I think there's
my
a
head's
mid-roll.
empty.
We can try to
is there
find
a
that.
mid-roll?
Yeah, there's always a mid-roll, right? We just don't remember it all the time.
Oh, there it is. I see it in like the tiny pictures.
Yeah, but it's...
We just have to actually get to it.
Yeah, you know, it's weird like that.
It is weird like that.
You gotta like play guessing. Okay.
Oh, here, okay. Titan research encompasses not only the biology of Titans themselves, but also the ideologies of Eldians who possess the power and how to deal with them.
Interesting.
Mr. Kassaver's definitely
Whoa, what do we got here?
Private. What do you mean, what have we got here?
We got some terms.
We have terms, but we can't read them.
Yeah, we can.
We can?
Yeah, we can. Let's turn subtitles off, because that's the only way we can... no, that didn't help.
That's
let's
another
see, right
language.
Here. No. Right here. Innocent Titans. Do you see that?
Oh.
It's the only one in English.
The pure Titans, and they're calling them innocent Titans on this translation on the mid-roll.
Huh.
Well, I mean, they are innocent. They're people that are turned into that, and they don't have any control over this bloodlust, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, that's all I have.
I think that's all I have, too.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.